Yo, what's good? Unexpected Wonder back again. And this is a subject I know I haven't talked about. I've touched on over the years in my channel, over the years of talking with various individuals and whatnot. But I think it's high time I need to do this video, right? What makes a good anime? Now, before I begin, I know there's gonna be so many people. Oh, this is your opinion. This is, your perception. Maybe this is subjective. When will y'all learn? I'm not out here to, beat you over the head with. But please, if you're gonna come at me, come after me. Bring logic, reason, facts, and evidence. Okay. I'm not, not in this video presenting, even my favorite. That's different. I'm saying what makes a good. I didn't say, what's making the good. I'm not even arguing what's the greatest, the best, or whatever. Just what makes a good anime versus what makes a bad one. And why I clash with certain people when, they talk about, and a lot of times what happens is people love the series so much that they don't see the flaws in it. And while other times people are so biased towards what they like that they don't look at the series for what it is, what its purpose is, what its audience is, as well as what its genre is. Now, I'll talk about manga as well. Manga is going to be a little more complicated because there's so many more genres than there even is in anime. Okay, but let's begin. Now, this thing stretches across all. What I'm about to drop in this video stretch across all genres. It doesn't matter if we're talking shonen, genres, demographics. Okay, shonen, freaking seinen, josei, talking shoujo. If you're watching Yuri and Yaoi or / shonen AI, ecchi and hentai. Those are the big 8, if you will, that I know of as far as genres. Okay. And now I will say this though, I'm not a fan of Yaoi and Yuri, and it's not even just the whole homosexual factors. Okay, because there are other series that do have various, elements to them, various lifestyles, sexual preferences, sexual orientations in them, and they kind of change the game. Okay, so like for example, Half Prince. I know that's a manga. Okay, but that has a character who's more or less either bisexual or pansexual, and I'm not sure. I have to catch up and see if it reveals more about his specific character. But anyways, so it's not the homosexual aspect, it's the fact of the story. Okay, a lot of times the stories are very basic, very outrageous in the way that they are concerned, very one-dimensional. That's not a good story. If I would have to say and break it down to the basics of what makes a good anime, 5 key points. Story writing, talking about actual animation, okay? Not what people think, not styles, animation itself, okay? Pacing, execution. Let's see, we got story writing, animation, pacing, execution. And what would be the 5th point? I know I have it. Story writing, that covers a lot of what I'm about to talk about. Pacing, animation, portrayal of, if it has a manga, and this is a 5th point that's dependent. Series like Kill la Kill, as far as I know, don't have a manga. Portrayal or adaptation to the manga. Okay, that's going to be key. And adaptation to the manga, sometimes they actually do, animes are better. Sometimes they're just, oh god, no. And I'll present what I mean at the end. First of all, story writing. Obviously, story writing deals with exposition. We're talking plot. A lot of people, it's plot protection. Plot armor. Get that nonsense out of here. Plot armor does not exist. Okay. It's plot. Period. Plot is the story itself. Pure and simple. That is what the gist of what a plot is the story, the bulk of the story. Okay? You can't blame, oh, he's got plot on. No, it's just a story that the author decided to write. If this author decides to, or the mangaka decides to kill him off, the animators decide to kill him off, they're gonna kill him off. Kill her off. If that's what the issue is. If the person's gonna, they lose the battle, they lose the battle. If the person doesn't get the girl, they're gonna get the girl. You get what I'm saying? The plot is simply a story. So quit using plot as this offensive, this attack. The plot is the story. So what you're trying to say is there are elements of the story that aren't rocking. Cool, we can talk about that. Don't just say plot, that's lazy. Okay? The story, right? You take exposition, dialogue, okay, characterization, whether it be indirect or direct. Too many people focus too much on direct instead of paying attention to indirect characterization. It's very subtle in some cases, but you got to pay attention. Details, ladies and gentlemen, details. Okay, character development, which a lot of people don't understand. They really don't understand character development. Setting, okay. Then various other aspects along those lines. Atmosphere, the tone of the story. Okay, what is, a lot of time, well, I'll get into animation and how that affects the atmosphere and the tone of the story. But these elements, and there's other ones. Obviously, the characters themselves. Is that the story believable? Okay, or are you just writing some far-fetched? And even in the most fantastic, when it comes to fantasy or most sci-fi, you can still make a believable story. Exhibit A, Outlaw Star. Believable. Because they brought in a lot of philosophical questions, a lot of realistic questions, a lot of, you had Gene Starwin, who's this regular guy who could shoot well. Even though you were dealing with androids and you were going to the galactic ley line, doing a bunch of space, you had grounded elements. As wacky as One Piece can be at times, you got guys like Usopp. Now, Usopp, okay, he can take a 4-ton back to the dome, okay? Breaks his nose, that's it. Goes through walls. But you have other elements. People are like, oh, how does Shanks lose his arm? But then they complain about, you got people, regular people getting body bagged, okay? On it, you talking about massacres, pretty much new genocide, if not a genocide. Or horror, anybody? So you have those elements. You have a very realistic element. Shingeki no Kyojin, you got the Titans, okay? Titans. But you got people dying left and right. You have not, they don't have superhuman abilities. The Survey Corps, okay? The army's pretty much regular army. Go figure. They're fighting these guys, and they ain't got, modern, or quote-unquote modern technology. They're in like the medieval period, more or less. Yeah. Craziness. And you go from here and there, you can go to various elements. You could go to the series of Dragon Ball. And while they have the ability later on in the series to easily destroy a planet. People are complaining about Son Goku, who is really tired, getting shot almost through the heart with a laser and him getting taken out. Like, there's elements that are believable, okay? Some may say, oh, this is contradictory. No, they're believable elements in this series, okay? So it helps to ground the series. You need those elements. Because if you don't, then you'll have people just doing any old thing. Issues that happen sometime in fairy tale where there's no explanation as to how things take place. When there's no explanation, then you're going to have bad writing. Because now, when a character doesn't do that, or a certain ability, if it's a one-time ability, you gotta explain it, and it better not just be pulled out of thin air. It better be explained. Things of this nature. That's story, right? Moving on. Animation is huge. Now, animation is not this, it's not always this popping pristine. Animation is, we're talking frame movements, how well the animation flows, how, vibrant it is, how, And it doesn't matter about the style. You can do Astro Boy, black and white, but a lot of times it is very well animated. There are certain episodes you can see. I'm talking about the 1963 Astro Boy. Okay, there are certain episodes where it's like, what the hell would the animators do? Who animated this? It's all over the filming is all over the place. And then sometimes it looks like it's just like cut out drawn. It's like, no, this is piss poor. And you have other episodes where this junk is on point, where it's not grainy, where it's the very fluid motion, very lifelike, and it's 3D rather than 2D. Sometimes almost seemingly 4D. Okay, it's very real. When it comes to, I've said some of the best animation of all time. Easily, 3 examples I'll give are, Kill la Kill, Shingeki no Kyojin, and freaking Hunter x Hunter 2011. Hunter x Hunter. All of those, all different styles, mind you. Even though Hunter x Hunter and Shingeki no Kyojin had a more closely related style than Kill la Kill, they all had beautiful animation. Very fluid, very dynamic. Each fitting the specific pacing of the series. See what I'm saying? Animation is supposed to enhance, not detract. Animation isn't just like how a lot of gamers use, graphics, I need me some nice shiny stuff. No. Animation is supposed to, bring to life the story that was in the manga. Just bring it to life. In a very, eye-catching, a very appealing sense, but also bring forth other elements that you didn't see. Animation, if we're talking fights, what I'm saying? It's supposed to, draw out what we didn't see in that fight. Not too long, because that'll screw up pacing. But it's supposed to present it in a fascinating way. Sometimes fights don't get done better than anime. Anime's fights should almost always be better than the mangas. I say almost always because sometimes manga portrayals, because of dialogue and otherwise, are just so damn good that it's very hard to top. But it should be pretty much on par, if not better. Okay, animation is key. I know some animator guys can go more in depth on those facets of animation. Now, pacing. Animes and pacing. Now, let me put it this way. If a series is slowly paced, don't blame the anime. The series is just slow paced. One Piece, Naruto, those, Bleach. But animes, man. Filler. Some filler are great. They really do produce great arcs. I can mention doggone, the Otherworld tournament arc in Dragon Ball. The Garlic Jr. arc was on point. One Piece has some great ones like the G8 arc. I thought the Peto Peto arc was actually quite good. The one with the Heat one, sometimes too much. I mean, Naruto is highly critical. I mean, the series has been over for over a year, and you're still dealing with filler when there's only like 8 episodes. It screws up the pacing. And with filler, if it doesn't flow well, if it's just some random, like I mentioned, One Piece filler, doggone, all of a sudden you have a filler like what was that thing? The Amigo pop. Like it didn't make any damn sense. Like, what? Where did this come from? Like you could tell it doesn't belong in the story. Like it's chronologically all kinds of screwed up. So filler can affect the pacing. I mean, drawn out moments. It's like, come on. And I don't mind some slower moving moments. Like, for example, I'll talk about One Piece, where Admiral Fujitora Isho with his Zoro Sensum in the step. Well, that was an important meeting. That wasn't in the manga. It was filler. But what it did was it added some tension. What it did was it introduced a very important character, a vital character, and it showcased something about Zoro. See, that's enhancing. Okay, that's fine if you add those things in there. When you look at the pacing, if a scene, I could do a separate video on pacing itself. But pretty much, a scene shouldn't be drawn out for an entire episode. Like, that's too slow. But the pacing also shouldn't be to where in the Baki series, and I love the Baki series, but not the anime, because the anime just rushes through everything. It gives no emotion, it gives no, technique. It should do it more so like JoJo's does it, and sometimes Hunter x Hunter more still shots. Shingeki no Kyojin more still shots. Although I have other issues with the JoJo's anime, that's more animation issues with the JoJo's anime. But the pacing is on point with the JoJo's anime, especially if you've Dio's World, okay? The end of Vanilla Ice versus what's homeboy's name? Oh my gosh, Kaioken, okay? Dio's World, phenomenally paced. They did not rush. They didn't draw it out. They just hit every point. When the pacing's proper, it hits all story points and it enhances the story. It reminds you, oh yeah, this is that good, or it introduces you. It's like, damn, I really may need to get into the manga. I want to see this. If you coming back and you want to see this time and time again, like I have people tell me about Hunter x Hunter, okay, and they said, yo, I watched like the Chairman Isaac Netero fight versus Chairman Isaac Netero versus Miriam the Chimera Ant King. I done watched that like 3-5 times. That's good pacing. When they tell me the Requiem, okay, the dude with the Phantom Troop, and they saying, yo, I went back and watched that multiple times. That's good pacing. It hits the points pivotal. It hits all pivotal points and enhances it and draws it out. And the animation also, enhances it with the music and other sound effects and sets the lighting and things. The animation does that. And the pacing, those two should be melding, into one. And so it brings out the story writing elements. Let's see, I said adaptation to the manga pacing. What am I missing? There was another cinematic I'm talking about. I'm trying to remember. What was it? I can do manga adaptation. But yeah, let me just go to manga adaptation because I'm pretty sure I covered the gist of what I wanted to talk about anyway. But manga adaptation. Now, Yu Yu Hakusho, anime's way better than manga. It's reality. Because you have things in the manga that slow down the pacing so damn much. And it's like, how is this relevant to the actual plot, really? For example, Urameshi Yusuke with the whole egg thing. It's like, what is this? Even in the manga, I'm like, come on, man. This Yoshihiro Togashi, what the hell are you doing with this? Like, this is ridiculous. So what the anime did, it didn't add all that foolishness. It doggone was stuck more so to the plot and helps the pacing, helps everything. Okay, so the anime is better. Dragon Ball better than the manga when it comes to Dragon Ball. When I'm talking Dragon Ball, I'm talking about the entire series. Dragon Ball, DBZ, DBZT, all that. It brings elements out. It adds in other factors to it and enhances the story. One Piece, I still have the manga over the anime, but the anime does a damn good job in bringing to life even elements, or it even fixes some mistakes that maybe Ichiro Oda slipped up on. Okay, Shingeki no Kyojin definitely, for the most part, better than the manga. I mean, the artwork off. It says Hunter x Hunter 2011 artwork. It brings to life better, and it clears up some of the nonsense that Yoshihiro Togashi does. Animes that fail, Toriko. Now, Toriko I had issues with Toriko that I could get into in a whole entire different discussion on, and I've talked on them before in other formats. But I mean, especially, it completely deviates by the end of the anime. It completely deviates and just screws up the whole plot structure of the manga. What the hell are you doing? That's ridiculous. It's giving them powers that make no sense. It's helping them to defeat enemies that they shouldn't, antagonists that they shouldn't. Come on now. Come on now. Toriko's the only one that comes off my mind because I don't watch bad anime. It just don't do it. Okay. If it just piss poor, no. So I mean, these are the criteria. And again, I'm sorry that I forgot one of the key points But I talked about to a great length all I need to talk about, really. Unexpected one, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me some of your, what you consider some of the best anime and why. And if you disagree with my points about animation, story writing, pacing, all that kind of stuff, then explain to me in a legitimate fashion as to why you disagree. Alright, y'all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace.